Hello all you super geniuses out there. Welcome to another video lecture from Super Genius 99. And today we're going to talk about midpoint and distance. Okay, so let's start off with, let's do the easier of the two, the midpoint. Okay, so when you find the midpoint between 2 points, it's basically the division or the average of the sum of the x's and then the average of the sum of the y's. Okay, so add your x's divided by 2, add your y's divided by 2. So formula wise, get a color. Formula wise, it looks like this. There we go. So you sum your x's divided by 2, sum your y's, divide those two by 2. So our x values are what? What are x values here? Our x values are these. Okay, so we're going to add those up and divide by 2. And then which one are the y values? So the y values are here. So add those up and divide by 2. Okay, so 1 plus 4 is how much? And 4 plus 0 is how much? Okay. And then 5 divided by 2, you can leave as 5 halves or 2.5, whichever one you like. And 4 divided by 2, how much is that? Okay, and that's our midpoint. Now, how will we find the distance? The distance basically, you get the sum of the squares of the differences of the two. So, in layman terms, the distance would look like this. So it's the square root of the sum of the squares of the difference. So basically, in formula, it just looks like this. So you're getting the sum of the squares of the differences, the square root of that. So the square root of the sum of the squares of the differences. So you can say that, press your teacher. How do you get the distance formula? It's the square root of the sum of the squares of the difference. Because the square root of the sum, that's the plus, of the squares, because we're squaring, of the differences. So let's just go do that. So x2 minus x1. And y2 minus y1. So the square root of the sum of the squares of the difference. All right, so 4 minus 1. And 4 minus 0. Okay, and then 3 squared. And 4 squared, that's a square there. And 9 plus 16 is how much? And what is the square root of 25? What times what gives us 25? Do we have a perfect number? Yes, and the answer is 5. Okay, so what does all this mean? Let's put some mean. So it means if we have these 2 points on a Cartesian coordinate, you want to graph it? Okay, let's graph it. And we were to have the point 1, 0, so where's 1, 0? And 4, 4, where's 4, 4? 4, 4. If we were to have those 2 points, that the midpoint is 2.52, and the distance between those 2 points would be 5 units. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, we got another one up here. So we're going to do the same thing with the point 0, -2, and 5, 10, 5, 10, okay? So those are 2 points. Let's find the midpoint. So in words, what is the midpoint? Okay, you can say what you do. You sum the x's divided by 2, sum the y's divided by 2. So when you sum 2 numbers divided by 2, you're doing what? You're getting the average. So it's the average of the x's, comma, the average of the y's. Which makes sense, right? Because if you're standing at 2 points anywhere, on a plane, if you're on a map, right? And what would be the midpoint between, your house and your friend's best house? It'd be somewhere in the middle, right? Divided by 2. So let's do that. So midpoint of this right here. So x2 plus x1. And y2 plus y1. And I'm labeling y1 and y2 there for you. Okay, so 5 plus 0 divided by 2, so 5 plus 0 is really just 5, right? And divide that by 2. And then 10 plus -2. And 5 divided 2, if you wanted to do it out, it's once again 2.5, and though it's 8 divided by 2. Okay, so that's the midpoint. And then the distance formula, what is that? The square root of the sum of the square of the differences, right? The difference of the x squared plus the differences of the y squared and get the square root. So let's just plug it in. So x2 minus x1. And y2 minus y1. If you're ever wondering, I'll mention at the end again, but if you're ever wondering why is it always x2 minus x1, why isn't it y1 minus y2? Well, in math, the assumption is that the second point came second and the first point came first. And so you always say the end minus the beginning. That's the way it does. So 2 is supposed to be like if that was your destination, what's your distance? Well, the destination minus your starting point. So 2 is always considered our end point, and the 1, or the lower number, the lower subset, is always considered our beginning point. But I'll mention that at the end again. Okay, so 5 minus 0 squared. So 5 minus 0 is just 5. And 10 minus negative 2, what do you do there? Add a line, change the sign. So 10 plus 2. Okay. So then square 5 and square 12. Add the 2 up, and what do you get? And just like most textbooks, they give you square root of 169. They start you off easy. They give you a perfect square. So what times what gives you 169? You can probably guess, right? Okay, and that is our distance. And once again, I'll mention it, the reason why your formula usually uses the higher subset, 2 plus 1, 2 minus 1, 2 plus 1, x2 minus x1. If you're just ever wondering, it's because 2 is always considered the second set of coordinates is always considered the end. These are always considered the end points. And these are always considered the beginning. And when you take physics class, you also notice that too. They always say, the lower will always be the end minus beginning when you do distance and velocity and all that other good stuff you learn when you get into your calculus and your trigonometry. But yeah, so distance square root of 13. If your teacher wanted you to get a decimal, use your calculator. You can use a 4-function calculator. I think you figure that one out. And then there's your midpoint over here. Okay, so hope this lecture helped. Thank you for watching, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.